Who is Edward L. Thorndike? Edward L. Thorndike, the American psychologist who conducted the SR, the stimulus and response. He used animals for the experiment. Thorndike is the first study of subject of learning, systematically using standard procedure in apparatus. Edward L. Thorndike's Connectionism Theory, 1874 to 1949. Biography. Edward Lee Thorndike is an American pioneer in comparative psychology. Was born in Lowell, Massachusetts in 1874 to the family of Methodist minister. He became interested in the field of psychology after reading William James' Principle of Psychology, and after graduating from Wesleyan University, he enrolled at Harvard in order to study under James. Edward Lee Thorndike was born on August 31, 1874 in Williamsburg, Massachusetts, and he died on August 9, 1949. He completed his PhD in 1898 and Columbia University. He was awarded the doctorate of his thesis, Animal Intelligence, an experimental study of associative processes in animals, in which he concluded that an experimental approach is the only way to understand learning and establish his famous law of effect. Thorndike spent 1 year at the College of Women of Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio. Then he became an instructor in psychology at Teacher College at Columbia University, studying human learning, education, and mental testing. He remained at Columbia the rest of his career. Edward L. Thorndike pioneered investigations in the field of human and animal learning, are among the most influential in the history of psychology. In 1912, he was recognized for his accomplishments and elected president of the American Psychological Association in 1934. The American Association for Advancement of Science elected Thorndike as the only social scientist to head his professional organization. Thorndike retired in 1939 but worked actively until his death in 1949. His work was major influence on BFS Skinner.
Hi, I am Andrea Corabo. So let's proceed to connectionism. What is connectionism? Connectionism embraces quite a number of disciplines such as philosophy of mind, neuroscience, cognitive psychology, cognitive science, and artificial intelligence. Connectionism is to define it according to specific disciplines. Philosophy of mind and neuroscience, the connectionism is the ability of human mind to make intellectual connections between different areas of knowledge. Scholars in this field call this as neural networking. In psychology in general, connectionism is the theory that all mental processes can be described as the operation of the inherited or acquired bonds between stimuli and responses. In computational theory of the mind, the human brain is the information processor. The connectionism in the computational theory of the mind, the human brain like a system capable of coding the information coming from the environment, modifying it and extracting new information from it. The human brain in system and itself is incorporates new data gathered in continuum of inputs and outputs. In the field of artificial intelligence, connectionism is understood as an approach that developed out of the attempt to understand how the human brain works at the neural level and, in particular, how people learn and remember. Scholars in their field call this neuron-like computing. In the field of education, the connectionism was popularized by Edward Thorndike. Thorndike's model of connectionism theory claims that it is achieved when individual is able to form association between a particular stimulus and response. Thorndike's connectionism theory. The learning theory of Thorndike represents the original SR framework of behavioral psychology. Learning is the result of association forming between stimuli and responses. Such association or habits become strengthened or weakened by the nature and frequency of the SR pairings. The paradigm of SR theory was trial and error, learning in which certain responses come to dominate others due to rewards. The hallmark of connectionism, like the all behavioral theory, was that learning could be adequately explained without referring to any unobservable internal states.
Good day, everyone. My report it's all about the three law of learning in Thorndike's connectionism. The three law of learning are the law of readiness, law of exercises, law of effect. The first primary law of learning, according to him, is the law of readiness or the law of action tendency, which can mean that learning takes place when the action's tendency is around through the preparatory adjustment, sit or attitude. Readiness means a preparation of actions. If one is not prepared to learn, learning cannot be automatically instilled in him. For example, enlist the types in order to learn typing prepare himself to start, he would not make much progress in the lethargic and prepared manner. So, law of readiness is a satisfying state to affairs result when an individual is ready to learn and it's allowed to do so. Being forced to learn, not when ready, or being pretended from learning when ready to learn, result is an annoying state of affairs. The second law is of exercises. Law of exercises. The law of exercises had two parts. A. The law of use, and B. The law of discuss. This law state that connection grows stronger when used. Where strength is defined the vigor or duration as well as the frequency of its making, and grow weaker is not used. Many examples of this case are found in case of human learning. Learning to drive a motorcycle, typewriting, singing, memorizing a poem, or a mathematical table, and music. Need exercises and repetition of various movement and actions many times. Allow it state that in learning, more frequently stimulus and response are associated, which each other is more likely the particular response will follow to the stimulus. That law of implies the learned skills for intense by watching others. So that is the law of exercises. The third law is law of effect, which state that responses which is occurred just prior to a satisfying state of affairs are more likely to repeated end response just prior to an annoying state of affairs, are more likely not to be repeated. The second contribution was his rejection of the notion that man is simply to another animal that can reason, its believed term to greater or lesser ability to form connections. The law of effects state that those behavioral responses that were most uh, closely followed by satisfying result were most likely to become a established pattern and occur again in response to the stimulus. That's all, and thank you.